Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to set up the Leprechaun once you have all the textures painted. So I'm going to use the default textures that came with the model. But before we get started, it's important to make sure everything is set up properly in Maya. So the first thing we're going to do is check to make sure that the DX11 plugin is loaded. We do that by going into the window menu, Settings, Preferences, Plugin Manager, and look for DX11 shader. Okay, so look at where I am in the list. It's pretty close to the top. So look for DX11 shader, and notice how I already have mine loaded and auto load on. Okay, so be sure that those are both checked on. DX11 shader, and then all you need to do is close. Once it's checked and it's loaded, next thing you need to do to check is go into Window, Settings, Preferences, and let me drag my window over here. So in the Preferences, look for, I'll go to Display, Display right there, and then scroll down to the bottom of that, and you'll see that I already have my rendering engine at the bottom here set to DirectX 11. Now this must be set here. By default it's on OpenGL. Okay, notice how it says whenever you change that, it says the new setting for viewport will take effect the next time Maya started. So if you get that message, hit OK and restart Maya. Of course, I want to keep mine DX11, so I'm not going to do any of that. Okay. And then hit Save if you've just switched it over. If you're already on DX11, you're fine, you're ready to go. But if it's OpenGL, you have to switch this to DirectX 11, hit Save, and restart Maya. Okay. So now, as we've been doing all semester, you're going to want to set your project before opening the scene. A lot of you guys, you just made a habit of double clicking to open a Maya scene. A lot of problems with that. The main problem being that it bypasses where you would have to set the project, so it could still be pointing to a previous project, something other than what you should be in. Especially if you're starting on a new project and it doesn't even give you the opportunity to set the project properly. So let's go ahead and do that. So go to File, Set Project, and probably the best, easiest way to do it to get it right every time is let me drag over the window which I've prepared. So these are all the clean files that I'm going to use for my project, including the default textures. So this is going to be my project folder, and if you just click in this empty space to the right of this, it'll give you the full path name. So I'm going to press Control C for copy, and then I can minimize this, and then I simply paste it in the directory and hit the Set button. Okay. Now, just to check that everything is set properly, I could go to File, Open, and we might as well just open the file while we're at it. Now, when the changes to Maya, it might still point you to the wrong location even after you set the project. The only way to be sure that it's showing the contents of your actual project folder is to click on this workspace root. Well, first make sure that in this option, for as much as you can see, we can just drag that over. If we can't see, you can see I have it set to DAA245 /Leprechaun, which is the proper location, and I click on workspace root, and this for sure now I can verify by this address up here that this is pointing to the right place. I know a lot of you, especially have multiple files some that you're working on your desktop. You might have some on your student drive, some on your USB drive. You have to be very careful about exactly where it's pointing to. So just decide on where you want to work off of, whether your local hard drive, which is probably the fastest, or some other drive, and then just be absolutely sure. Always check up here to make sure you know exactly where those files are going. Otherwise, it's just going to cause you a lot of confusion. So after you're certain you know where everything is and how everything is set up, then let's go ahead and choose the Leprechaun start.ma file and click OK. Open, I mean. Save changes to untitled, don't save. Okay. And as you can see, here's the starting model. So it has all the lighting set up, and it has the environment sphere already set up. So the only thing you really need to do is, once you're finished painting the textures in Mudbox, to just bring them into Maya and hook them up to the correct DX11 shaders. You'll probably need several, because we're going to want a special one for the skin, special one for metal, and special one for cloth. And there might be some others as well. I think I ended up using 3. So this is going to be our starting point. And one thing I want to point your attention to is the fact that the default camera that you're viewing the scene from is an already set up turntable camera. So as you can see, all the frames and everything has already been set up for you. Okay. And this camera is locked. I intentionally locked it so you can't accidentally nudge it out of place. If you want to go to a camera in which you can navigate around the scene, you're going to want to go into the Viewports Panels menu, go to Perspective, and then Persp, which is just the default perspective camera. If you go there, then you just have a free camera that you can use to navigate. Okay. I do have several features turned on to make everything look better, but at the cost of performance. So as you can see, it's a little bit sluggish in updating the viewport. A couple of things I can do to trade off performance for some of the quality, some of the visual quality, is let's go ahead and configure the viewport. So if you go to Renderer, go to the option box next to Viewport 2.0, and let me drag my window over here. So a couple of things to watch out for is screen space ambient occlusion. As you can see, I turned that on by default, and ultimately when you're ready to render, you're going to need to turn this back on, so we'll revisit this later on. And also, if you're running off of a very fast machine and you're not even noticing any slowdown, then you can skip this part. This is only for those who are working on a machine and you're just having a hard time working with it because everything just is not updating quickly enough. So if you want some more performance, then simply uncheck the enable under screen space ambient occlusion. That's one thing. And the other thing is go down into anti-aliasing, and I have both of these checked. Go ahead and uncheck both of these. It'll cause the edges to look a little more jagged, as you can see, but also things are moving a lot faster because it's easier to update the frame as you're moving around your scene. Okay, so let's close this Hardware Renderer 2.0 settings window, and let's go to our preferred split view for working with shaders. Hold down the space bar, and between these two tick marks at the top, which defines a northern quadrant, left click and hold, and go to the 4 o'clock position, Hypershade Outliner Persp,